I should have known something was wrong when Mom set out the good china for Sunday lunch. The plates with the tiny blue flowers that only came out for Christmas and funerals. But there I was, 29 years old and still showing up like a loyal dog every week, pretending we were a normal family. My name is Kennedy, and I've spent my entire life feeling like a guest in my own home. Kennedy, honey, could you grab the rolls from the kitchen? Mom's voice had that syrupy sweetness that meant she wanted something. I'd learned to recognize all her tones over the years. The guilt trip voice, the martyr voice, the one she used when she was about to ask me for money. I pushed back from the dining room table, where Dad sat scrolling through his phone, barely acknowledging my existence. Nothing new there. Drew Allen had perfected the art of being present but absent, like furniture that occasionally grunted approval at whatever Mom said. In the kitchen, I could hear them through the thin walls. "She's been so distant lately," Mom whispered to Dad, "ever since Aiden's divorce started getting messy." "Maybe she's finally growing a backbone," Dad muttered. I gripped the basket of rolls tighter. 29 years of this. 29 years of being the afterthought, the one who got the leftover attention after my older brother Aiden had taken his fill. When I returned to the dining room, Aiden was already there, sprawled in his chair like he owned the place. Which, let's be honest, he basically did. Golden boy, star athlete in high school, the son who could do no wrong even when he was doing everything wrong. "There she is." Aiden grinned, that charming smile that had gotten him out of trouble his whole life. "My favorite little sister." "Your only sister," I said, setting the rolls down harder than necessary. "Details." He winked and reached for the butter. "So, Ken, how's the house treating you? I'd bought my little 2-bedroom bungalow 3 years ago with money I'd saved working double shifts as a medical transcriptionist. It wasn't much, but it was mine. The first thing that had ever truly belonged to me. "Fine," I said. Mom cleared her throat. "Actually, Kennedy, that's something we wanted to talk to you about." Here it comes. I could feel it in the air, that familiar tension that meant I was about to become the solution to someone else's problem. "Aiden's going through a really difficult time right now," Mom continued, her voice taking on that wounded bird quality. "The divorce has been so hard on him, and Haley's lawyer is just vicious. They want everything." "As they should," I said quietly. "He cheated on her, with multiple women, while she was pregnant with their second kid." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "That's not fair, Kennedy." Dad finally spoke up. "Marriage is complicated. You wouldn't understand." "Right, because I was the spinster sister who'd never managed to keep a man interested long enough to marry him. At least, that's how they saw it. The truth was, I'd learned early that love in the Allen family came with conditions, and I wasn't interested in signing up for that kind of contract with anyone else. "The point is," Mom pressed on, "Aiden needs help with his legal fees and the settlement. Haley wants half of everything, plus child support, plus alimony. It's just not fair." "What does this have to do with me?" I asked, though I already knew. Aiden leaned forward, his charm dialed up to 11. "Well, sis, you've got that house, and houses are just sitting there, not really doing anything productive, you know. You could take out a loan against it. Help your family out." "Help you out, you mean?" "Same thing." He shrugged. I looked around the table at their expectant faces. Mom with her practiced martyrdom, Dad with his uncomfortable shifting, Aiden with his entitled smirk. This was it. This was the moment I'd been unconsciously preparing for my entire life. No, I said. The word hung in the air like smoke. What do you mean, no? Mom's voice pitched higher. I mean, no. I'm not taking a loan against my house to pay for Aiden's mistakes. Kennedy! Mom's mask slipped completely. How can you be so selfish? This is your brother we're talking about. Your family. My family, I repeated slowly. Right. Aiden's charm evaporated. Come on, Ken. Don't be a bitch about this. Aiden! Mom gasped, but not at his language, at the possibility that he might not get what he wanted. I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. I'm not giving you my house, Aiden. Find another way. That's when Mom exploded. You ungrateful little brat! She screamed, her face turning red. After everything we've done for you, we took you in when nobody else wanted you. We raised you like our own, and this is how you repay us? You were adopted anyway. The words hit me like a physical blow. The room went silent except for the sound of my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. Adopted, I'd always suspected. The way I looked nothing like them. The way I never quite fit. The way they talked about Aiden's baby pictures but never mine. But hearing it said out loud screamed at me like a weapon, broke something inside me that I didn't even know was still whole. I didn't say another word. I grabbed my purse and walked out of that house, leaving them sitting there with their good china and their ugly truths. I had an attic to search. My hands shook as I pulled down the attic ladder in my hallway. 29 years of wondering, and the answer had been sitting above my head this whole time. The attic smelled like dust and old secrets. I'd only been up here twice since buying the house. Once to check the insulation, once to store Christmas decorations I never used. But now I was hunting for something specific, something I'd glimpsed years ago and dismissed. There, in the far corner behind a stack of boxes labelled Kennedy's school stuff, in Mom's careful handwriting, sat a small cardboard box I'd never opened. The tape was yellowed and brittle. My name was written on top in faded blue ink, but underneath it, someone had crossed out another name I couldn't quite make out. I carried the box downstairs to my kitchen table, my heart hammering against my ribs. Inside were the adoption papers, just like I'd expected. But there was more. So much more. Court documents, medical records, and at the bottom, a stack of letters tied with a pink ribbon. The return address made my breath catch. Remy Nelson, with an address across town. The first letter was dated 3 months after my birth. To whoever is caring for my daughter, I know you think this is over, but it's not. I will find a way back to her. I promise. The second letter was from when I turned 5. I drove by the elementary school today. I think I saw her on the playground. She has my mother's eyes. When I turned 10, I've started a college fund, just in case. 16. I know she must hate me. I hate me too. 18. She's an adult now. I could reach out. But what if she's happy? What if I ruin that? The last letter was dated just 6 months ago. I can't wait anymore. If she won't come to me, I'll have to find another way. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check your email. We need to talk. Ah. I stared at the phone, then at the letters scattered across my table. This was insane, but I opened my laptop anyway. The email was short. Kennedy. I know today was hard. I know because I've been watching from a distance for 29 years. If you want answers, meet me at Rosewood Cafe on 5th Street tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll be the woman sitting alone who looks like you. Remy. I didn't sleep that night. The next afternoon, I sat in my car outside Rosewood Cafe for 10 minutes, gripping the steering wheel. Through the window, I could see a woman at a corner table, dark hair like mine, same stubborn jawline. She was checking her watch. The bell above the door chimed as I walked in. She looked up, and I saw my own eyes staring back at me. "It took you long enough," she said, but her voice was gentle. I slid into the chair across from her. "You've been watching me." "Not watching. Checking. Making sure you were okay." She signaled the waitress. "Coffee?" "I don't understand any of this." Remy leaned back in her chair, studying my face like she was memorizing it. "I was 17 when I had you. Unmarried, no family support, working at a grocery store. The Allens were pillars of the community, church leaders, stable income, everything the social workers wanted to see." "So, you gave me away." "I was pressured into giving you away." "There's a difference." Her voice hardened. "Angela couldn't have children. She'd had 3 miscarriages. The church ladies whispered that it was God's punishment for something, but they also whispered that maybe God was providing a solution." The waitress brought coffee. I wrapped my hands around the mug, needing something to hold on to. "I tried to fight it," Remy continued, "but I was a kid with no money and no lawyer. They had both. The judge made it clear that a stable Christian home was better than a teenage mother working minimum wage. But you kept writing letters." "I kept hoping. I built a real estate business from nothing, thinking maybe someday I'd have something to offer you. Something better than what they could give." I looked at this stranger who shared my face. "Why now? Because yesterday wasn't the first time Angela has used your adoption as a weapon." Remy's eyes flashed with anger. "I have friends at the courthouse. I know about Aiden's divorce, about them pressuring you for money. I know they've been telling people you're difficult and ungrateful. You've been spying on me. I've been protecting you, from a distance." She reached into her purse and pulled out a manila folder. "But I think it's time to stop protecting you and start empowering you instead." "What's that?" "Options." She slid the folder across the table. "I own a property management company, 12 commercial buildings, 43 rental units. I never married, never had other children. Everything I built thinking about you." I opened the folder. Legal documents, property deeds, financial statements, numbers that made my head spin. "I don't understand." "Your house," Remy said quietly. "The one they want you to mortgage for Aiden's problems. What if I told you there was a way to make it completely untouchable? What if I told you there was a way to make sure they could never use you as their personal ATM again?" I looked up from the papers. "What kind of way?" Remy smiled, and it was like looking in a mirror. "The kind that involves lawyers, trusts, and watching entitled people learn that actions have consequences." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I've been waiting 29 years to give you something, Kennedy. Let me give you power." 3 days later, I sat in a downtown law office that smelled like leather and expensive coffee. Remy had called in favors, and now my little house, the one thing I'd ever truly owned, was about to become untouchable. "Sign here, here, and initial there," the lawyer said, sliding papers across his mahogany desk. "Once this is filed, your property will be held in an irrevocable trust under Nelson Holdings LLC. Legally, you'll no longer own it." "But I can still live there, forever, if you want. The trust pays all expenses, taxes, maintenance, but no one can force you to sell it, mortgage it, or use it as collateral. Not even you." Remy sat beside me, calm as still water. It's like putting your house in a safe that only opens from the inside. I signed my name on the last document. What happens now? Now we wait, Remy said, and we document everything. We didn't have to wait long. That evening, I was watering my tomato plants when a black sedan pulled into my driveway. A man in an expensive suit got out, carrying a briefcase like it contained nuclear codes. Kennedy Allen? Yes. Gregory Underwood, attorney for Aiden Allen. I have documents requiring your appearance at a financial disclosure hearing regarding your brother's divorce proceedings. He handed me an official-looking envelope. You're being called as a witness to testify about family assets and your willingness to provide financial support during this difficult time. I opened the envelope and scanned the papers. Legal jargon, but the message was clear. Show up and explain why you won't help your family or face contempt of court. This seems like harassment, I said. Gregory smiled like a shark. It's standard procedure. When family members refuse to cooperate with reasonable requests, the court needs to understand if you're truly unable to help or simply unwilling. And if I don't show up? Then the court will assume you're hiding assets or acting in bad faith. That could result in a judgment against you personally. He adjusted his tie. I'd strongly recommend compliance, Miss Allen. Family court judges don't look kindly on selfishness. After he left, I called Remy. They're trying to intimidate you, she said. Classic bully tactics. How do you want to handle this? What are my options? Well, legally, they can't force you to mortgage a house you don't own, but they don't know that yet. The next morning, I called Gregory's office. I'll need to review the documents with my own attorney, I told his secretary. Please have all correspondence sent to my legal representative. And who might that be? I gave her Remy's business lawyer's information. Tell Mr. Underwood that Kennedy Allen is now represented by counsel. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It was Aiden. What the hell, Kennedy? You got a lawyer? For what? To protect myself from harassment. Harassment? His voice pitched higher. I'm your brother. I'm asking for help. You're demanding I mortgage my house to pay for your mistakes. Our parents are worried sick about you. Mom's been crying for days. Mom screamed at me that I was adopted and unwanted. I think her tears can wait. Jesus, Kennedy, she was upset. People say things when they're emotional. Yeah, they do. They say what they really think. There was a long pause. Look, can we meet somewhere? Talk this out like adults. I don't think that's a good idea. Come on, 1 coffee. I'll even pay. He tried to laugh. God knows I can't afford much else these days. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a diner near the courthouse. Neutral ground. Aiden was already there when I arrived, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His usual golden boy charm was frayed around the edges. You look good, he said, as I slid into the booth across from him. You look terrible. Thanks. He stirred sugar into his coffee with shaky hands. Divorce will do that to you. So will cheating on your wife. His jaw tightened. I made mistakes. I'm trying to fix them. By asking me to pay for them. By asking my family to help me. He leaned forward. Kennedy, I'm drowning here. Haley wants everything. The house, the cars, half my business, plus child support that'll bankrupt me. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to screw around. I get it, okay? I screwed up, but I'm still your brother. Am I still your sister? Because Mom made it pretty clear that I'm not really family. Aidan ran his hands through his hair. She was angry. She didn't mean it. She meant every word. Fine. Yes, you're adopted. So what? You think that changes anything? I stared at him across the table. It changes everything, Aidan. It means every time you got the bigger bedroom, the newer clothes, the college fund I never had. It wasn't just favoritism. It was because I wasn't really yours. That's not... It means every time Mom guilt-tripped me about being ungrateful for what you all did for me, she was holding my adoption over my head like a weapon. Aidan was quiet for a long moment. What do you want me to say? I want you to say, you understand why I won't mortgage my house to save you from the consequences of your own actions. I can't do that. Then we're done here. I started to stand, but he grabbed my wrist. Kennedy, wait. There's something else. His grip tightened. Gregory found some interesting things when he was researching your finances. Like what? Like the fact that your house deed was transferred to some holding company last week. Like the fact that you've been meeting with Remy Nelson. My blood went cold. How do you know that? I know because I'm not stupid. And neither is Gregory. Aidan's voice dropped to a whisper. What are you planning, Kennedy? I pulled my wrist free and stood up. I'm planning to protect myself. From what? From you! As I walked toward the door, Aidan called after me. This isn't over, Kennedy. Whatever game you're playing, it isn't over. I turned back to look at him one last time. You're right. It's just getting started. That night, Remy came over with Chinese takeout and a small jewelry box. I thought you might want this back, she said, opening the box to reveal a silver necklace with a small heart pendant. I recognized it immediately. I had this when I was little. It disappeared when I was 12. Aidan pawned it. I bought it back. Remy fastened the necklace around my neck. I've been keeping it safe. How did you know he pawned it? Because I've been keeping track of everything, Kennedy. Every slight, every theft, every time they made you feel small. Her eyes were hard as diamonds. Keep the necklace. You'll need a costume for the third act. The phone call started at 6 a.m. Kennedy, this is your mother. Angela's voice was ice cold through the speaker. We need to talk. Now. I rolled over in bed, checking the time. It's 6 a.m. I don't care what time it is. You've crossed a line. What line? Don't play dumb with me. We know about the lawyer. We know about the house. We know about... her. The way she said her made my skin crawl, like Remy was some kind of disease. I don't know what you're talking about. Gregory says you transferred your house to avoid helping your family. That's fraud, Kennedy. That's illegal. I sat up straighter. It's not fraud to protect my assets from people trying to steal them. Steal them! Angela's voice pitched into that familiar shriek. We're your family. No, you're not. You made that very clear. The line went quiet for a long moment. When Angela spoke again, her voice was different, calculated. Fine. If that's how you want to play this, then you're no longer welcome at family events. Christmas is cancelled for you. Thanksgiving. Everything. You've made your choice. Good, I said, and hung up. But the calls didn't stop. Dad called an hour later, mumbling about keeping the peace and thinking about what's best for everyone. I hung up on him too. Then Aidan called. You're making a huge mistake, he said without preamble. Which mistake is that? Trusting her. Remy, you think she actually cares about you? More than you do. She abandoned you once. What makes you think she won't do it again? I ended the call and turned off my phone. By noon, I was hiding in the produce section of the grocery store, trying to avoid anyone who might recognize me, when Ren found me. There you are. My best friend since childhood appeared beside the apples, looking worried. I've been calling you all morning. I turned my phone off. Smart move. Half the town is talking about the Allen family drama. Ren was a legal assistant at a downtown firm, which meant she heard all the courthouse gossip. Want to tell me what's really going on? I gave her the short version while we walked through the store. Ren listened without interrupting, which was one of the reasons I'd kept her as a friend for 20 years. So, you put your house in a trust, she said when I finished. Smart. But Kennedy, they're going to fight dirty now. What do you mean? I mean, Gregory's been asking questions around the courthouse about trust laws, about asset hiding, about what constitutes fraud. She grabbed my arm. He's looking for a way to break the trust. Can he do that? Probably not, but he can make your life hell trying. We were loading groceries into my car when a black sedan pulled into the parking lot. Gregory got out, along with a man I didn't recognize. Kennedy Allen? The stranger approached with a clipboard. You've been served. He handed me papers and walked away before I could respond. What is it? Ren asked. I scanned the documents. A subpoena. They want me to appear at Aiden's divorce hearing as a hostile witness. On what grounds? Failure to cooperate with family financial obligations. I kept reading. They're claiming I'm hiding assets to avoid supporting Aiden's children. That's bullshit. Yeah, but it's legal bullshit. That evening, Remy came over with her lawyer and a bottle of wine. They're getting desperate, the lawyer said after reviewing the subpoena. This is a fishing expedition. They're hoping to embarrass you into compliance. Will it work? Not if we handle it right. He pulled out his own stack of papers. We're going to send back a response that will make Gregory wish he'd never heard your name. What kind of response? The kind that points out Kennedy Allen no longer has any legal interest in the property in question, making her testimony irrelevant to Aiden's financial situation. Remy smiled. In other words, we're going to tell them there's no entity found. Over the next week, every legal document they sent came back with the same response. No entity found. The trust was so complex, so buried in corporate structures, that Kennedy Allen appeared to own nothing at all. My phone started ringing again. This time it was extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins I barely knew. Kennedy, honey, what's this about you not helping Aiden? Aunt Martha called to say. I heard you got some fancy lawyer to hide your money. Uncle Bob added his 2 cents. I stopped answering calls from numbers I recognized, but I couldn't avoid Aiden forever. He cornered me outside the post office on Thursday afternoon, looking like he hadn't slept in days. This has gone far enough, he said, blocking my path to my car. Move, Aiden. Not until you listen to me. His eyes were bloodshot, desperate. Do you have any idea what you're doing to my kids? To Haley? I'm not doing anything to them. You did it when you cheated. My kids are going to lose their house because of you. Your kids are going to lose their house because of you. He stepped closer, and for the first time in my life, I was actually afraid of my brother. You think you're so smart, don't you? You and your birth mommy, playing your little games. Get away from me. She's using you, Kennedy. Can't you see that? She wants revenge on Mom and Dad for taking you away. You're just her weapon. At least someone thinks I'm worth something. You're going to regret this. His voice was low, threatening. When this all falls apart, when she disappears again, you'll have nothing. No family, no one who cares about you. Just your precious house and your bitter little life. I pushed past him toward my car. I already have nothing, Aiden. You made sure of that years ago. As I drove away, I saw him in my rear-view mirror, standing in the parking lot with his hands clenched into fists. That night, my phone rang. Unknown number. Kennedy? This is Haley. Aiden's ex-wife. I'd always liked her, but we'd never been close. Hi, Haley. I know this is weird, me calling you, but I need to tell you something. Her voice was shaky. About Aiden, about your family, about things that happened when you were kids. What kind of things? The kind of things that prove you're not the villain in this story. She paused. I have something that belongs to you. A letter your birth mother tried to send when you turned 18. Angela intercepted it. My heart stopped. What? Can we meet? There are things you need to know before that hearing. Things that will change everything. Haley chose a coffee shop 20 minutes outside town, the kind of place where nobody would recognize us. She was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with a manila envelope clutched in her hands. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down. I wasn't sure you would. You said you had a letter. I have more than that. Haley pushed the envelope across the table. But the letter first. Read it. My hands shook as I opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter on cream-colored paper, the ink slightly faded but still legible. My dearest Kennedy, today you turn 18, which means you're legally an adult, and I can finally reach out to you. I know you must have questions about why I gave you up, and I hope someday I can answer them all. I've thought about you every single day for 18 years. I've saved money for your college, started a business with your future in mind, and kept every newspaper clipping I could find with your name in it. I know the Allens have given you a good life, and I'm grateful for that. But if you ever want to know where you came from, if you ever want to understand the other half of your story, please call me. I'm not trying to replace the family that raised you. I just want to be part of your life if you'll let me. All my love, Remy. There was a phone number at the bottom, the same one Remy had texted me from. She sent this when I turned 18? She tried to. Angela intercepted it. Haley's voice was tight with anger. I found it in Angela's jewelry box when I was helping her look for earrings for Aiden's wedding. She saw me reading it and made me promise never to tell you. You kept this secret for 11 years? I was young and stupid and thought it wasn't my place. Haley's eyes filled with tears. But after everything that's happened, after watching how they treat you, I can't keep quiet anymore. I folded the letter carefully, my chest tight with rage and grief. 11 years. I could have known Remy for 11 years. There's more, Haley said, about the money. What money? The child support Aiden's been paying me, except he hasn't been paying it from his own account. She pulled out a bank statement. Look at the account name. I stared at the paper. The payments were coming from an account labeled Kennedy Allen Family Support Fund. I don't understand. Aiden's been using your name to set up credit accounts for years. Small ones at first. A credit card here, a store account there. Then bigger things. He used your name and social security number to open this account and funnel his child support through it. The room started spinning. That's identity theft. It gets worse. When he couldn't make the payments anymore, he started taking cash advances against the credit cards in your name. The debt is in your name, Kennedy. All of it. I gripped the edge of the table. How much? $43,000. And counting. Jesus Christ! He's been doing it for years, probably since you turned 18 and your credit was clean. Small amounts, nothing that would trigger alerts, but it's been adding up. Why are you telling me this? Haley leaned forward, her voice fierce. Because they're trying to destroy you to save him. Because Angela knew about the identity theft and covered for him. Because they've been planning to pressure you into paying off his debts all along. They knew I'd find out eventually. They were counting on you being too loyal to family to press charges, too grateful for being rescued as a baby to fight back. I stared at the bank statements, seeing years of manipulation laid out in black and white. What else do you know? I know Angela has been telling people around town that you're mentally unstable, that you've always been difficult, and now you're having some kind of breakdown. Of course she has. I know Drew has been asking his friends at the bank about ways to force you to sell your house for family medical emergencies. There's no medical emergency, I know, but they're building a narrative. Poor Aiden, struggling to support his children. Selfish Kennedy, hoarding her resources while family suffers. Haley reached across the table and grabbed my hand. Kennedy, I never believed you were like them. Even when we were all kids and they treated you differently, I could see you were better than that family deserved. Why didn't you ever say anything? Because I was a kid too. And then I married into it, and I thought maybe I was imagining things. But I wasn't, was I? No. You weren't. There's something else. Haley pulled out her phone. I recorded Aiden last week when he thought I wasn't listening. He was on the phone with Gregory, talking about the hearing. She played the recording. Aiden's voice was clear through the speaker. Look, Kennedy's always been the weak link. She's desperate for approval, always has been. If we can make her feel guilty enough about the kids, about family loyalty, she'll cave. She always caves. Gregory's voice responded. And if she doesn't? Then we destroy her reputation, make her look crazy, vindictive. Angela's already started spreading stories about her mental health. By the time we're done, no one will believe anything she says. I stared at the phone as the recording ended. They're planning to destroy me. They're planning to try. Haley's voice was steel. But, Kennedy, you have something they don't. What's that? The truth, and evidence, and a birth mother who's been building a case against them for 29 years. I looked at the letter again, at Remy's careful handwriting, at the love that had been stolen from me for 11 years. Haley, I need to ask you something. Anything. At the hearing next week, would you be willing to testify about the identity theft? About the secret account? Are you kidding? I've been waiting years for someone to hold Aiden accountable for his actions. I pulled out a folder from my purse, the same one Remy had given me with the trust documents. Then, I need you to do something for me. What? I need you to waive your discretion rights during the hearing. Whatever the judge asks you, tell the truth, all of it. Haley smiled for the first time since I'd arrived. It would be my pleasure. Good. I stood up, clutching the letter and bank statements, because it's time the Allen family learned what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. What are you going to do? I'm going to give them exactly what they've been asking for. I headed toward the door. A family reunion they'll never forget. The phone rang at 7 a.m., 3 days before the hearing. I almost didn't answer when I saw Dad on the caller ID. Kennedy, we need to talk. Drew's voice sounded older than I remembered. Do we? Your mother she's not doing well. This whole situation has her very upset. I'm sure it does. Look, I know things got heated the other day, but this is family we're talking about. Aiden's kids, your nephews, they're going to suffer if this goes to court. They're going to suffer because their father is a criminal. Long pause. What do you mean by that? Ask Aiden. Better yet, ask your lawyer. Kennedy, please, don't ruin your brother's life over money. I'm not ruining anything, Dad. I'm just not fixing it anymore. I hung up and immediately called Remy. They're panicking, I told her. Good. Panic makes people sloppy. Her voice was calm, controlled. Are you ready for tomorrow? I think so. Are you sure about this plan? Kennedy, I've been planning this for 29 years. Trust me. That afternoon, I was deadheading roses in my front garden when a car pulled up. Not the usual black sedan. This was a beat-up Honda that looked familiar. Micah got out. He'd lived 3 houses down my entire childhood, the quiet kid who noticed everything but said nothing. Now he was 28 and still living in his childhood home, taking care of his elderly mother. Hey, Kennedy. Hi, Micah. Everything okay? He walked up to my fence, hands shoved deep in his pockets. I heard about what's happening. With your family. Small town. People talk. Yeah, they do. He looked around nervously. That's actually why I'm here. There's something I need to tell you. Something I should have said years ago. I set down my gardening shears. What kind of something? About the day they brought you home. I was 7, playing in my backyard. I saw the whole thing. Micah, you don't have to. You came screaming, he said quickly, like he needed to get it out before he lost his nerve. Like you knew something was wrong. Angela was trying to calm you down, but you just kept crying. And Drew, he was carrying boxes from a car I didn't recognize. What kind of boxes? Baby stuff, but also other things, papers, and a woman was there, crying on the sidewalk, a young woman with dark hair. My heart stopped. Remy, I guess. I was just a kid. I didn't know names. But I remember Angela yelling at her to leave, that she'd signed papers and it was over. And the woman, she kept saying, please, just let me hold her one more time. Jesus! Angela called the police, said the woman was trespassing, harassing them. The cops made her leave. Micah's voice was quiet. But before she got in her car, she threw something over the fence, into your backyard. What was it? A teddy bear, brown with a red ribbon around its neck. Angela found it later and threw it in the trash. I remembered that bear. I'd found it in the garbage when I was 8 and hidden it in my room until Angela discovered it and threw it away again, saying it was dirty and inappropriate. Why are you telling me this now? Because I've watched them treat you like garbage your whole life, and I never said anything. I was a coward. He looked directly at me for the first time. But you're not garbage, Kennedy. You never were. And that woman who came that day, she didn't want to give you up. They made her. Micah, there's more. When you were about 12, she came back, parked across the street and just watched the house. Angela saw her and called the police again. But before they got there, she left something in your mailbox. The necklace. You knew? I found it. Aiden stole it and pawned it. Micah nodded like that made perfect sense. Your family's always been good at taking things that weren't theirs. That evening, Remy came over with takeout and a garment bag. What's that? Something for you to wear tomorrow. She unzipped the bag to reveal a navy blue dress, simple but expensive looking. I want you to look like the successful, independent woman you are. Remy, I'm scared. Of what? Of what happens after, when this is all over and they hate me even more than they already do. She sat down beside me on the couch. Kennedy, they already hate you. The only difference is tomorrow they'll have to face consequences for it. What if this backfires? What if I lose everything? You can't lose what you never really had. She reached into her purse and pulled out the silver necklace, the one Aiden had pawned. Put this on. Why? Because it's yours. Because I gave it to you when you were 3 days old, and it's the only thing I was allowed to send with you. Her eyes were fierce. Because tomorrow, when they see you wearing it, they'll know exactly who you really are. I fastened the necklace around my neck. The heart pendant felt warm against my skin. Are you ready for this? Remy asked. I don't know. That's okay. I'm ready enough for both of us. The next morning, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror in the navy dress, the necklace catching the light. I looked different, stronger, like someone who belonged in a courtroom instead of hiding in a garden. My phone buzzed. A text from Wren. Courthouse is packed. Half the town showed up. You've got this. Another text from Haley. Ready to tell the truth. See you there. And finally, one from Remy. Time to show them what happens when you underestimate a woman who's been underestimated her whole life. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. In the driveway, I could see neighbors peeking through their curtains, probably wondering if the quiet girl from down the street was really about to take down the Allen family. They were about to find out. As I drove toward the courthouse, I caught sight of myself in the rearview mirror. For the first time in 29 years, I looked like I belonged somewhere. I looked like I belonged to myself. The courthouse was buzzing when Remy and I walked through the doors. I could see familiar faces scattered throughout the gallery. Neighbors, church members, people who'd watched the Allen family drama unfold over the past few weeks. Angela sat in the front row behind Aiden's table, her face a mask of righteous indignation. Drew was beside her, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. When they saw me walk in with Remy, Angela's face went white. All rise for the Honorable Judge Martinez. The courtroom fell silent as Judge Martinez took her seat. She was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, with sharp eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. We are here today for a financial disclosure hearing in the matter of Allen versus Allen, she announced. Mr. Underwood, you may proceed. Gregory stood up, straightening his tie. Your Honor, we've called Kennedy Allen as a witness to establish the family's financial resources and her willingness to assist with reasonable support obligations. Ms. Allen, please take the stand. I walked to the witness box, my heart hammering. The bailiff swore me in, and I sat down, scanning the courtroom. Haley gave me an encouraging nod from the back. State your name for the record, Gregory began. Kennedy Allen, and you're the defendant's sister? Adoptive sister. Gregory's smile faltered slightly. Right. Now, Ms. Allen, you own a house at 247 Maple Street, correct? No. I'm sorry? I don't own that house. Gregory shuffled through his papers. According to county records, according to current legal documents, that property is held in an irrevocable trust. I have no ownership interest in it. The courtroom stirred. I could see Angela whispering frantically to Drew. "Your Honor," Gregory said, "this appears to be a recent transfer designed to avoid family obligations." Judge Martinez looked at me. "Ms. Allen, when was this transfer made?" "Last week, Your Honor." "And why?" "To protect my assets from people trying to steal them." "Objection!" Gregory jumped up. "That's inflammatory." "Sustained. Ms. Allen, please stick to facts." Remy's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, if I may approach?" "You may." He handed a folder to the judge. "These documents show that Ms. Kennedy Allen has been the victim of identity theft for over 10 years. Credit accounts opened in her name without her knowledge, debt accumulated in her name, and fraudulent financial activity that directly relates to this case." Judge Martinez flipped through the papers, her expression growing darker. "Mr. Underwood, were you aware of this?" "Your Honor, we have no evidence. Actually, we do." Haley stood up in the gallery. "Your Honor, I have evidence." "Ma'am, please sit down. You're not—" "I'm Haley Allen, the plaintiff in this divorce. I waive my discretion rights. I have evidence of financial fraud." Judge Martinez looked intrigued. "Approach the bench." Haley walked forward and handed over the bank statements. The judge studied them for a long moment. "Mr. Underwood, can you explain why your client has been making child support payments from an account bearing his sister's name?" Gregory looked like he'd swallowed a fish. "Your Honor, I was not made aware." "Aiden Allen, stand up." Aiden rose slowly, his face pale. "Did you open financial accounts using your sister's name and social security number?" "Your Honor, I can explain." "It's a yes or no question, Mr. Allen." "Yes, but—" "Did you accumulate debt in her name without her knowledge?" "It was temporary. I was going to pay it back." "That's identity theft, Mr. Allen. A felony." The courtroom erupted. Angela shot to her feet. "Your Honor, this is ridiculous. Kennedy is family. Families help each other." "Ma'am, sit down or I'll hold you in contempt." Angela sat, but she was shaking with rage. Judge Martinez turned back to me. "Ms. Allen, were you aware of these accounts?" "Not until this week, Your Honor." "And the total amount of fraudulent debt?" $43,000. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. I could see people in the gallery pulling out their phones, probably texting the news to half the town. "Your Honor," Remy's lawyer stood again, "we have additional evidence that the Allen family has been planning this financial manipulation for years, including recorded conversations discussing how to coerce Ms. Allen into compliance." "I'd like to hear that recording." Haley played the audio of Aiden and Gregory discussing their strategy. Aiden's voice filled the courtroom. "Kennedy's always been the weak link. She always caves." When it ended, Judge Martinez was silent for a long moment. "Mr. Underwood, your client has committed identity theft, fraud, and attempted coercion. Instead of seeking legitimate financial assistance, he chose to steal from his sister and then tried to manipulate her into covering his crimes." "Your Honor, I'm not finished. Mrs. Allen." She looked directly at Angela. "Your outburst suggests you were aware of this fraud and chose to enable it rather than stop it." Angela opened her mouth, but Drew grabbed her arm. "Mr. Aiden Allen, you will immediately cease all fraudulent financial activity. You will work with the court to establish a repayment plan for the $43,000 you stole from your sister, and you will be referred to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges." Aiden collapsed into his chair. "Furthermore, any attempt to contact harass or intimidate Ms. Kennedy Allen will result in contempt charges. This hearing is adjourned. The gavel came down like thunder. As people filed out, I remained in the witness box, watching my adoptive family's world crumble. Angela was crying, Drew was staring at the floor, and Aidan looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Remy appeared beside me. "How do you feel?" I stood up slowly, touching the necklace at my throat. Like I can finally breathe. As we walked toward the exit, Angela blocked our path. "You destroyed this family!" She hissed at me. I looked at her for a long moment. This woman who had raised me but never loved me, who had used my gratitude as a weapon for 29 years. "No. Angela, you raised me to be silent. I just learned that silence is a weapon too." We walked past her and out into the sunlight, leaving the Allen family to face the consequences of their choices alone. The media circus started before we even made it to the parking lot. "Ms. Allen, Channel 7 News, can you comment on the identity theft charges? Kennedy, how long have you known about your adoption?" Remy stepped in front of me like a shield. "No comment. Please respect our privacy." But privacy was a luxury we'd lost the moment Judge Martinez's gavel came down. By evening, the story was trending on local social media. Local family's adoption secret explodes in court. Identity theft scandal rocks. Prominent church family. My phone buzzed constantly. Reporters, distant relatives, people I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly wanting my side of the story. I turned it off and sat in my kitchen with Remy, eating Chinese takeout in blessed silence. "Any regrets?" she asked. "About today? No. About the last 29 years. Too many to count. We can't change the past, but we can build something better going forward." "Is that what this is? Building something?" Remy set down her chopsticks. "Kennedy, I know this started as revenge. I won't lie about that. I've been angry for 30 years, watching them treat you like an inconvenience while I built a life hoping someday I could give you everything they never did. And now I realize revenge was just the appetizer. What I really want is to know my daughter." The word hit me like a physical blow. Daughter, not the child I gave up or Kennedy. Daughter, I don't know how to do this, I admitted. I don't know how to have a mother. I don't know how to be one, but maybe we can figure it out together. A knock at the door interrupted us. Through the window, I could see Wren holding a bottle of champagne and grinning. "Open up! I brought celebration supplies." I let her in, and she immediately wrapped me in a hug that lasted about 30 seconds too long. "You magnificent, terrifying woman," she said. "Do you know what you just did? Destroyed my adoptive family? You stood up to bullies who've been pushing you around your entire life. You exposed fraud. You probably saved other people from getting scammed by Aidan." She popped the champagne cork. "You're a goddamn hero." "I don't feel like a hero. Heroes never do. That's what makes them heroes." We were halfway through the bottle when another knock came. This time it was Haley, holding a casserole dish and looking nervous. "I hope it's okay that I came by. I brought dinner for tomorrow." "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. After what you did today, after how you helped me finally get justice for my kids." She set the dish on my counter. "Kennedy, I owe you everything." "You don't owe me anything. You told the truth." "I told the truth because you gave me permission to, because you showed me it was possible to fight back." As the evening wore on, more people stopped by. Micah brought homemade cookies and an apology for staying silent all these years. My mail carrier, Mrs. Peterson, dropped off a card saying she'd always known I was too good for that family. Even Father Miguel from the church came by to say he'd been praying for me and was proud of how I'd handled myself. I never realized how many people were watching, I told Remy as we cleaned up. People always notice when someone's being mistreated. Most just don't know how to help. And you did? I knew how to wait. And when the time was right, I knew how to act. The next morning brought more surprises. A reporter from the State Attorney General's office called to say they were investigating Aidan for a pattern of financial fraud involving other family members. Apparently, I wasn't his only victim. Then Gregory called. Ms. Allen, I want to apologize for my role in this situation. I was given incomplete information by my client. You mean you were lied to? Yes, and I should have done my due diligence instead of taking his word. He paused. For what it's worth, you handled yourself with remarkable dignity yesterday. Thank you. There's something else. Aidan wants to speak with you. Absolutely not. He says he wants to apologize. He can apologize to the judge at his sentencing hearing. I hung up and immediately called Remy. They're going to keep trying, I told her. Angela, Drew, probably other family members. They're going to want to reconcile now that the truth is out. What do you want to do? I want to move forward. With you. Without them. Then that's what we'll do. That afternoon, we drove to a house across town, a Victorian with a wraparound porch and a garden that looked like something from a magazine. What do you think? Remy asked as we walked up the front steps. It's beautiful. Whose is it? Yours if you want it. I bought it last month, thinking maybe someday. She trailed off. It has a library and a greenhouse, and enough space for all the letters I should have been able to send you. I stood on that porch, looking out at a garden where I could plant anything I wanted, where no one would tell me I was ungrateful or difficult or not really family. There's something I need to tell you, I said. What? Yesterday, when I was sitting in that courtroom, watching everything fall apart, I wasn't thinking about revenge anymore. I was thinking about how quiet it was going to be when I got home. How peaceful. And I realized I've been quiet my whole life, not because I didn't have anything to say, but because no one ever wanted to hear it. Remy took my hand. I want to hear it. All of it. Every thought, every story, every dream you've been keeping to yourself. Even the angry ones? Especially the angry ones. I squeezed her hand and looked out at my potential future, a house where I belonged, a garden where I could grow whatever I wanted, a mother who chose me not once, but twice. Okay, I said. Let's go home. As we walked through the front door, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hi, Kennedy. My name is Marcus. I think I might be your half-brother. Can we talk? I showed the message to Remy, who smiled. Ready for the next chapter? She asked. I looked around at the empty house that could become anything we wanted it to be. I've been ready my whole life. Sometimes karma doesn't knock. Sometimes she just hands you the keys to a better life and says, "You've earned this," and sometimes that's exactly enough.